Let's go ahead and get started since we're 3 minutes after. First off, Danny, thank you so much for taking the time out. This will be a big play for us. So instead of these guys always hearing from me and Maddie, we wanted to bring in someone that's absolutely killing it on the Illinois side. So let's start with like your production wise. I know you were part of the pilot starting in June, and the rest of the state got it in September. The last numbers I saw, you were around a little bit north of 300 quotes since that time. Closed 108 new business policies for a close rate of 33.4%, which is pretty outstanding. So kind of want to break this up in three ways. A little bit of what you did before the launch, what you did during the launch, and then after launch, which we kind of got into. I've got a couple questions that some agents have asked me, and then we will open it up. For those of you from DHQ, if you have questions, we chat them in just so we can keep the feedback kind of down to a minimum, and then I can ask Danny. So Danny, how long have you been an agent?
10 years.
10 years. So if the bio I saw is right, 10-year agent, 10 years toppers, 2 years championship, 3 years president's council, little north of 5,000 policies. And where are you at in Illinois?
So I'm actually just right across the river. So I'm in Columbia. So I'm like 10 minutes from South County.
Beautiful. All right. Take us to before launch. So we get this November 3rd. You've had it for a while. What did you and your team do to get ready for the launch of this coming in June?
Yep. So I know. So us being on the pilot program, we had a couple calls where they it was like an hour or two demo, where they walked through the quotes and kind of showed us how to go through everything with quoting. But I didn't really do a ton of practice quotes and everything. I feel like I learned better by just doing it. The system's very similar to Farmers. I mean, it works pretty similar to Guidewire. So, I mean, if you can quote in Guidewire, you can quote here. It's very similar. A couple minor differences. Like in Guidewire, you can kind of skip around. You can go back to the first page and then click back to the quote page with signature. Once you go back, you have to click through each page to get there. But otherwise, I mean, it's pretty similar to what Guidewire is, so you'll get the hang of it really quickly with that. But I would watch the trainings, if they have I think you said you guys have like some quote demos with it, or with that. I watch it just to see them go through it, so you can kind of see how it all works, and you're somewhat familiar with the system whenever it comes in. But like I said, it's pretty easy to get the hang of it. It's very similar to what Guidewire is for it. Otherwise, besides being prepared for that, so I said we tried to make a list of just a ton of people to quote whenever it came up. Whether that was, people that maybe we knew it was coming, so I kind of started keeping track. Over the last several months, if I quoted somebody, if we didn't beat their price, or if we weren't able to win their business, I kept a list and then I re-quoted all of those people. Or, I have several X dates, that were coming up. So, we had those. And then a lot of our defectors, we went in and quoted too. So our close ratio right off the bat was over 50%. I think at first we closed like 70 of our first 130 quotes or something, because those were all really warm leads, because they were people that we had, defectors or or people that we'd quoted before. So we just kind of kept that list and had that ready to go with it, because the rates were so good, at least for what ours were here in Illinois. I don't know what Missouri's will look like, but our Illinois rates, especially the home rates, have been incredibly inexpensive.
Okay. Did you guys, I know that obviously QNC's defectors, X dates were a big thing. Did you guys happen to buy any leads in preparation for Foremost Signature?
We do. I mean, we buy some internet leads. I've just never been a huge believer of internet leads. I don't know. We don't have a ton of luck with them. I mean, said with us being around for 10 years, we have 150 defectors every month, so we work all of those, and then just like you said, the QNCs that we didn't close over the years and things like that. I mean, we had enough stuff in our book that we could go with it. And I mean, you said you could definitely buy leads. So I don't know. We don't market a ton towards internet leads. We try to go more towards our defectors and quotes not closed and things like that.
Sure. So we had a question coming from Matt Hall. He's looking just for comparison sakes. What was your close ratio before you got the pilot for formal signature?
Yeah, I know. I honestly don't know. Is there somewhere you can see that on the dashboard? I know there is, and I always forget how to get there. But I can look. But I think the last time I checked it, it was around like 19 or 20%. Again, and part of that is because we don't do a ton of internet leads. I mean, our close rate's usually somewhat higher because it's more of, warm leads or, at least a little bit better than an internet lead. So our close ratio usually is pretty high. But last time I checked, I think we were like 18 or 20% with it. And honestly, that 33%, I mean, that's somewhat low too, because every quote we do, you quote under the husband and we quote under the wife. So, if you take those duplicate quotes out there for the ones that are married, it's probably more like 50% or higher on it, because again, like I said, you're quoting everybody twice on it. And I was on the pilot program, like September 1st, we lost all of our old quotes. So I had to redo a lot of quotes too. So I said, I imagine that close ratio is much higher than 33%. Because it was 50% at one point.
Love it. So obviously our big push in DHQ right now are those U of F modules and then the quote demos. We don't have like agent sandboxes similar to, how you guys kind of rolled out too. Did you have, just clarifying, you had obviously your whole team. How big's your team?
So I have 3 CSRs and then one producer that actually does something. So I'll just say one producer with
Fair
it.
enough.
But yeah, so they didn't really have access during the pilot. It was just myself and one other. You can only have one other staff on it, so it's just myself and my producer that were on it. And then my staff got access in September, and they watched all the trainings and did that too. And then I said, just kind of jumped into it and learned, by doing it as well. I said, I mean, you can watch it, which definitely helps. So you have a familiarity with what the system is. But once you get into it, like I said, I mean, it's just another, just like bouncing between Farmers and Foremost and Bristol West. It's very easy to navigate.
Yeah. And we were talking yesterday. You said that you guys went through Guidewire, obviously, a little bit before we did too. You compared the system a little bit to Guidewire with maybe just a few more clicks, but
Yep.
kind of getting an idea for us. We just went through Guidewire a few months back. So can you kind of give your take on maybe the ease of picking it up between formal signature and Guidewire?
Yes, I think it's really easy. There's a couple extra questions, like so with signature, they ask for mileage, and they ask if the vehicle is used for commute or pleasure. So that's just something an extra question that they don't ask in Farmers. So what we've learned is however you kind of gotta ask people, which we do anyways, what their occupation is to see if they qualify for an affinity discount with Farmers. But with signature, you want to know what their occupation is, because if they're retired, you can mark that vehicle as a pleasure vehicle then instead of commute to school or work. And it's not a huge difference in pricing, but it's like $5 a month or so per vehicle. So if somebody is retired and has 2 or 3 vehicles, you may be able to save $10 or $15 a month, if you list it as a pleasure use vehicle. And it's the same thing as if, say, there's 3 vehicles and 2 drivers. You can kind of, use that too, where you can list a pleasure vehicle and commute vehicle on that. So that's like one extra question that's in there. And then it also, on the home, they do new roof discounts, and it's a rating factor with Foremost Signature. So we kind of got away from asking what year the roof was, because Farmers doesn't give that discount anymore. But with Signature, you do get it. They said it's a rating factor, and it is a pretty big pricing difference too. So we want to start going back to asking what the age of the roof is, because that can affect the home price too. But yeah, so the ease of quoting, it has the exact same 360 value in the home that we have in Foremost and Guidewire. So I mean, that's all really familiar with everyone too.
So I was talking to Melissa Huntington yesterday. I'm not sure if she's on. We've got about 50 on, so I haven't checked. She was asking, because it looked like she's went through obviously the U of F modules and some of the quote demos, about does she need to change up her home quote sheet when asking those first questions, because she thought that maybe Formal Signature had a few more underwriting questions. Did you guys change up your home quote sheet at all for the rollout of this?
Slightly, like I said, we added the new roof back in there because of that gives them a discount on that. And then there's a few other discounts. I'm pulling up a quote right now just so I can read them off so I can let you guys know what it asks on that. So for property details, like I said, the 360 value is exactly the same as what ours is. And then after that, it asks what type of fuel is used by your heating system. Do you have your own gas tank, or is it a public tank, or solar, whatever you're using. And then it asks what year your roof was installed. So I said those are basically stuff you'd ask for farmers anyways. And then on the next page after that, so a few other discounts they have. It asks if you have a sprinkler system. It asks if you have a home security system. It asks if you have a smoke and fire monitor. And then it asks if you have a Wi-Fi enabled thermostat. So it's very strange. So you get a discount for having a Wi-Fi thermostat, and you have to have proof of that. But for the new roof discount, you don't have to have proof because it's not a discount, it's a rating factor. So the roof may save $300, but you don't have to have proof of it. This Wi-Fi thermostat saves like $15, and you have to have proof of it. So we honestly just quit putting that discount on there because it was a pain to have people take a picture of their thermostat and send it to us. But I mean, if you need to get the pricing down, that is something that that I said is a discount. So maybe just if you wanted to add security system, sprinkler system, Wi-Fi thermostat, because those are discounts. But I said for the roof, they say it's just a rating factor. You don't need to provide documentation, but we're still getting it just because I could see them changing that at some point, or just if whatever, if you ever got audited or farmers want to look at it and you have a bunch of new roofs on there without any documentation, it could throw a red flag. So we're still getting that to have for our own use, but you don't have to submit it because it's a rating factor and not actually a discount.
Perfect. So that answered Candace's question. Going back up, Linda Stevenson asked that she had seen some stuff on farmers' Facebook pages that we all kind of searched, that some agents had said that maybe the quoting can be a little slow. Have you found that to be the case?
It is. So unfortunately, whenever you can't set presets in here like you can in farmers, and you can have your preferences. You can set it to be whatever, 100, 300 with 5,000 medical, $500 deductibles, towing and glass. You can't set those presets. So if somebody has 5 vehicles, you have to go in and add the glass coverage for all 5 of them. Each time you change that coverage, it sits there and spins for like 5 seconds. So, if you have 5 vehicles, 5 glass coverages to change, it takes 35 seconds just to change that. You have to go in and change the deductibles for each vehicle, and then it sits and spins each time. So it does take, it is a little slower. It's getting faster than what it was, but I said it is somewhat, a little bit slower. Back to one other thing I just thought of as far as underwriting. So if in Foremost Signature, if it's more than 5 miles from the fire department, it throws up a red flag that you have to go to underwriting for it. I have gotten some of those approved, but you have to have reasoning to get it approved. So most of the time, if they have an alarm system that's central monitored, or if they have, like a pond or a lake nearby, so they have a body of water, or if you can say there's a fire hydrant nearby, and they also want it to be visible from a few other houses or the road. So just because that alert comes up, if you quote one that's more than 5 miles from the fire department, it's going to come up and say, underwriting review required. So we've probably gotten about half of those approved. But like I said, you have to have justification of why it can be approved. And I said normally the things is an alarm, visible from a few other houses, and if it has like a body of water nearby. And then one other underwriting edit. So a few people that I was able to write are people that have above ground pools. So in farmers, you have to have a deck or a fence all the way around it. In Foremost Signature, as long as you have a locking gate, you can write that there. So if you only have a deck around half of your pool, but it has a locking gate to get up to that deck, you can write that in Foremost Signature. Whereas in farmers, you have to have a deck or a fence all the way around it. So that had a little looser guideline there that I know I've missed out on a couple people that had pools, but they didn't have a fenced yard around it.
Gotcha. And the reason why we asked Danny is, if you just happen to leave that quote sheet that you guys use in my email box, we might, pass it out to our agents. I'm just saying.
We can do that.
Sure. Kimberly wants to know, can you clarify the 3 tiers for the auto quotes? Do you have to pick that from the beginning of the quote?
Nope. So once you're in the quote, I'll pull this one up here right on mine that I have. You can quote the first one, and then it has add quote scenario, and you can add another one in there. So there's really no difference between the three auto ones, besides the other ones just lock you into higher limits, and then it has extra coverages. It's called like auto extra. It has diminishing deductible, and it has like key replacement and things like that. So I usually just go with the middle package, because then I can customize it more to what I want. Now, for the house policy, there's three of those as well, and it kind of works the same way that our house policy does. Like the first one only has like 1,500 for jewelry, and then the second one has like 1,500 per item, 5,000, and then the third one has 5,000. So each one of those tiers, it just kind of increases their, the limits for guns and jewelry and things like that, just like our policies do too, from Enhanced and Premier.
Matt Hall's asking, can you talk to us a little bit about servicing the signature policies?
So that has been a little bit of a pain point as well, just like Farmers Chat. The chat there can be slow. We got an email yesterday that I think they had like 24 new hires that just started a week ago, and they have another 20-something starting in a few weeks, because the chat times can be slow. But I mean, you can go on and service it yourself. What we've been doing, so these policies are not integrated with ECMS yet. So whenever we write a new policy, we're manually adding those policy numbers into ECMS, so we know where they're at. So if somebody calls in you and you forgot where it's at, it shows there that it's Foremost Signature, but then you actually have to go into the Foremost Signature landing page, and you can service them from there. But I mean, we can make our own changes, changing payment information and, switching out a vehicle and doing all that kind of stuff with it. You just have to go through the Foremost Signature dashboard to make those changes.
So I feel like we've hit on a lot of the before launch and during launch, underwriting, servicing, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about the fun stuff, making cash. What percentage of your new business right now would you think is that you're writing through Foremost Signature?
Yeah, quite a bit. So, I mean, I looked back at my bonuses. I mean, obviously, I said, bonuses is where, can make, especially with the Jolt and stuff recently. So, without Foremost Signature, before we got this in June, I'd only bonused 2 of the first 5 months with it, and I would have missed the bonus every month since without it. So, the month that it launched in June, with my Signature premium, I beat my baseline by 40,000. Without Signature, I would have missed it by 1,500. So, and that allowed me to hit Jolt and get the, whatever it was, 250% or 150% there. In July, I beat my baseline by 65,000. Without Jolt or without Signature, I would have missed it by 40,000. So we wrote 105,000 in Signature premium that month. In August, I beat my baseline by 48,000, and I would have missed it by 17,000 without Signature. I mean, obviously, some of those I could have maybe wrote in Farmers, maybe wrote a few of them, but not that much of it. And then this month, there's 4 days to go. Right now, I'm only beating my baseline by 6,000, but without Signature, I'd be 37,000 below my baseline. So, so basically, I mean, it's made a huge difference so far. I mean, Illinois is a low premium state, so our premium is a little bit lower than what your guys is over there. But since June 1st, we've wrote 210,000 in Signature premium. So I think we've wrote quite a bit. It's less. I mean, we're writing more in Signature than Farmers. Right now, it's probably, I don't know, 60 or maybe 60% Signature, 40% Farmers with it. But we're definitely writing more there now, because the home rates are just so low. I mean, I have like a $750,000 house that it's $600,000 house I'm quoting right now. It's like $700 a year, and that's with $25,000 in sewer and drain backup, guaranteed replacement, everything with that. So it's just the home price has been really good with it. And so besides hitting, the Jolt bonuses for all those, we've made about $25,000 in Signature commissions off the last 4 folios as well.
Dude, super impressive. That's super impressive. Speaking of bonus, because obviously to me, that's our big play, right? DHQ, that's for the last 2 months with Jolt. The reason why we're so overly kind of pushing it is it's a giant part of, obviously a big bonus for us and for you guys. The question came up a few times with my FTAs, and I was asking our territory office, can you give us a little bit of breakdown in terms of, obviously there's going to be some rewrites in there. right? Like
Uh-huh.
we'd be naive to think that that's not going to happen. One, maybe your philosophy on, how much are you rewriting? Are you trying to stay away from it? Somebody's walking out the door, you obviously do it. And then two, the more important part with the bonus is we've heard some rumblings that it'll show up on your tracker and then they back it out at the end of kind of the month once they realize what a rewrite is. Have you had any kind of pain points with that, or can you kind of walk us through what that looks like from a bonus standpoint in terms of some rewrites?
Yep. So that's what they told us, that it is supposed to be back to back out. My situation's been a little bit different. So I said I haven't really. I just got on the new farmers code like 3 weeks ago. So with ours, when I was on the pilot program, they had to come back. They had to manually add in the foremost or the signature premium after the fact. So it was, the month ended, it looked like I missed the bonus, and 3 weeks later they'd go in and add the signature premium. So I can't really talk a ton on that because I said I haven't had a bonus month yet, besides the one that we're on right now with it. But yeah, they tell me that rewrites don't count, that they have to go back in and back it out after the fact. But now I don't know if that was just on the pilot program or if that's fixed now. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But if your numbers do look off, I would double check it, because right now they said I had some rewrites on it, and I was looking at my bonus, and one of the ones that I had, two of mine that they said were rewrites were written through Pekin, and I said I don't know why those would be a rewrite. 'Cause I think sometimes Pekin pulls weird, and it says like a farmer's insurance company or something on it on their declaration pages. So I don't know if that's why they thought that, but so I am disputing one of those right now, so I would keep track of it with it. But we haven't done a ton of rewrites. So like I said, we have about 210,000 in new business. We've done around 40,000 in rewrites. A decent amount, but that's over 4 months, so that's 10,000. So maybe one household a week or so with it. And like you said, we're kind of just leaving it for if we get one of those shopping alerts that somebody's shopping, maybe we'll quote one of those, or if it's a client that we have for a long time and they've taken rate increases year after year for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and their house policies 3,000 or 4,000 now, and we can write it there for $1,000, something like that. We've been kind of going with. So we're not proactively moving people there, but it is an option if somebody calls in and thinks they're paying too much. I had a guy yesterday. I got the alert that he was shopping, and then he emailed me and he said, "Hey, we got to do something about this." He was paying $500 a month for his 3 vehicles in his house. We moved it to signature for $200. So it saved the guy $300 a month. And we actually upsold them from 100, 300 to 250, 500. So again, we don't want to move our whole book there. So obviously that's 3,000 in premium that I lost, but it's better than losing the whole thing. So we're not proactively trying to move people there, but if somebody asks us, and we can, we'll at least take a look at it, and then obviously try to add some extra coverages or cross-sell life or do whatever to with that savings that they got out of it.
Gotcha. All right. So 2 questions that came to mind while you were talking there. We just thought we were the only ones that take fire rate. Maybe we just thought it was, west of the Mississippi. What'd you guys take in fire rate in Illinois?
Yeah, I know. That somebody asked me the other day too. It's effective in December, so it hasn't hit yet. But it was 20 or 25%. We've taken that every year. I'm pulling up my home renewals right now just to see what they're at, because one of my CSR works in. But I think we're 20 to 25%. If you look at mine, I got a 36%, and then there's a whole row of 25 to 17. So we're in that same range with it. But yeah, and this isn't the first time. They've done it 3, 4, 5 times. So I said, some of these home rates I'm looking at here are this 2,800, this one's 5,200, 5,400, 2,900, and I have not quoted a house in signature that's been more than probably 1,800. So some of these that are just huge premiums, we are taking a look at them to do it. But I said I don't always like to move homes either, because then they're subject to inspections again, and it's just sometimes whatever, even if it's just cosmetic issues, it can be a pain point with customers too, as far as having the inspections done. So we don't move everybody right away, but if somebody is paying $4,000 a year and they take a 25% rate increase, it's $1,000 increase. It's kind of hard to explain that some of those are ones that we can at least look at potentially moving over there. And if you do move it, so if you have the home with signature and the auto with farmers, the farmers auto still gets that auto home discount. They haven't verified yet if the home gets that discount or not. They say we're not, so they don't know. One time when you chat in, they say yes. One time they say no. So we've added it to a couple, and it's staying on there. So we think it's working, but I'm not 100% sure if at renewal that won't fall off or something like that would happen. But right now the discount seems to be going both ways with it. But with Signature, you'll learn it changes every day. You never quite know what exactly is going on with it. But I said the rates are so good that it's worth a little bit of headache on that. And I see somebody just asked about inspection. So I believe all homes are subject to inspection, and they actually do interior inspections as well. So be aware of that. It's mostly, so the interior inspections, I've had a couple. It was a house in East St. Louis. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that area. I mean, it's more of a little rougher area with it. So if you write like maybe a high risk zip code, or if you write a house that has, that's an older house, they do interior inspections as well, just to make sure like wiring's up to date. And things like that with it. And then for high value homes, so they do I was talking to another Illinois, and he said he had a $1 million house that had an inspection the other day. So they do interior inspections as well. And somebody asked if they can do their own. They can do their own. So there's an app or there's a link they send them. If you don't want the inspector to come in your home, you can take the pictures yourself and upload those for the interior. I believe the exterior the company has to do. But for interior, I guess, I don't know if it's because of COVID rules or whatever, they do allow the customer to do their own interior inspection if they want. I've only had 2 interior inspections so far, so it's not like there's a ton of them.
Melissa had asked, have you seen any underwriting changes on the auto or home since launch?
They have. So they just released one here. I'm not sure it's similar to our non-standard, standard, and preferred, that if they fall in one of the lower credit tiers, they can't have any accidents or they're ineligible in Signature. I've only had one of those come up so far. That rule just went into effect October 5th though. And then for homes, if you fall in that lower credit tier, if your home was built before 1980, it's not eligible. Again, I don't know if this is just Illinois only or if it's every state, but that's what our Illinois rules are. And those rules were not in place until October 5th. So those just came in place where I said one accident and a house built before 1980. But I said I haven't had many fall into that because I think it's got to be like the real low, just like in farmers, whenever you try to quote somebody with state minimum, if their credit's too bad, it's not eligible for farmers. So it's kind of those types of clients.
Amy wants to know if are you guys notified of the interior or exterior inspections ahead of time so you can give the clients a heads up?
We're supposed to be, but I have not been notified of those. So they said we're supposed to be, but the client got an email letting them know, and they forwarded it to me, and I said I was kind of caught off guard. I didn't realize they were getting that. So I don't think we're getting notified of that right now. Again, I think they're kind of short-staffed over there, but they're hiring and they're trying to get some of that up to date, but no. So I would just kind of let your client. Well, actually, sorry, I take that back. Once I do remember now. So on one of ours, whenever we submitted it, the policy, it did say that it was subject to an interior inspection. So once you submit the policy, it will tell you that the interior inspection is going to happen. But for exterior, they don't notify us on those. So, but if it is an interior inspection, your CSR, whoever's inputting your policies, they should be notified of that.
All right, bit of a mundane question. Me and Mr. Haywood were talking about this last night. And we were just looking for clarification. So you had mentioned shopping alerts earlier when you were talking. I'm assuming you're part of, you probably signed up for the shopping alerts that are whatever,
Yep.
$1.50.
Yep.
When you do rewrites, do they hit you for a shopping alert?
I don't believe so. I don't think I've gotten any of those whenever I did it on those. So no, I don't think I did get any of those. Not that I've noticed that, because I said we haven't done a ton of rewrites, and a lot of the rewrites we've done, I already got a shopping alert for them anyways. Yeah. So I don't know if they would send a duplicate if you did that, or if they only send it once. But I said I don't really think that I've gotten any alerts on that.
No worries. All right, for DHQ, I have one last question that I'm going to ask. So this will be like a 30-second call on questions. De Leon, what are the rules on vacancy, over or under 30 days?
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure on that one either. I do know they do builder's risk policies. Our course of construction in there, just like Farmers does. So, because I just wrote one of those, and the way you do it, they said they ask. So the way to get it like that to pop up if it's under reconstruction, you put in there. It asks, do you currently occupy the dwelling, and you put no, and then the next question that comes up is says, is this a new construction? And then you mark yes, and then it's a builder's risk policy. So they do write course of construction policies. Somebody asked if they do landlords. Yes, they do landlord policies as well.
Send the underwriting form the special link area. I don't know what that means, Melissa. Oh, is that the thing? I'm assuming that's the thing you emailed me yesterday, maybe. Sorry, okay. She answered.
No, you're good.
All right, yeah, I have that, Melissa. I will send that out. Amy wants to know what's the highest BI limit on auto.
Yep. So it goes from 250, 500, and then they have 500 / $1 million. So they will go up to $1 million on there.
Earthquake on solid brick.
Honestly, don't know that one either. So none of the houses I've quoted have been solid brick on that, so I'm not 100% sure there. I do know that the sewer and drain pricing is really good there. So that new construction house that I just wrote, I added $25,000 in sewer and drain coverage for $12 a year. So we've been putting sewer and drain coverage on every policy we write because it's so cheap. And Farmers, in Illinois at least, sewer and drain is expensive. It's like $210 for $10,000 in coverage.
Chaz wants to know, do you even entertain Bristol West pricing or just compare between Farmers and Formal Signature?
I mean, for our preferred clients, we don't. If it's a non-standard client, Signature is very similar to Farmers for the non-standard. They're not that great with it. So if it's a non-standard client, we will quote Bristol West, but we still lead with Farmers every time. Just because with Farmers it's easy, with the copy submission you can move back and forth between the auto and home and the husband and wife and re-quote that. So I still quote husband and wife and Farmers first, just to kind of see which one it comes out better on. If it's better under the husband or better under the wife, and then I start with that one in Signature, because with Signature there's not a copy submission quote. You have to go in and re-quote it from scratch when you want to switch to the other spouse. So I start with the spouse that's better in Farmers, and then if I really like that quote, and I don't even quote under the other spouse, just so I don't have to do that.
Any issues with trampolines preventing issuance?
It does ask if they have trampolines. It's the same rule as Farmers, that it has to be rural area or a fenced yard on that. And make sure if somebody does have a pool that you do mark that they have a pool, because there is a surcharge for it, just like Foremost has a surcharge for pools as well. So it's one of the first questions it asks, do you have a pool, a trampoline on there that it asks through the underwriting. So, and again, like I said, pools, they just have to have a locking gate to do it.
All right, so I think that's all the questions. You've hit on a ton. Obviously, we as DHQ have some work to do, maybe reviewing some underwriting guidelines and getting a little more familiar with that. Part of the reason, Danny, that we wanted you on is you're not a territory guy. You're not a company guy, so you can give a real world perspective in this next question I'm going to ask. We have, in the past few years, I've been here 12 years, we've rolled out a lot of either new products or refreshes. Some have done great. Some have been kind of misses, right? We get excited about it. We want to know, or I want to know, your honest opinion. Don't sugarcoat it. We're thick-skinned agents over here. We're pretty transparent.
Yep.
Should we be excited about this or not?
So, I mean, honestly, I guess it depends on your rates. So I did one of these for Colorado like 2 weeks ago. They were all pumped out about it. They got their policy. They didn't know anything about this. They got their product released, and they had a minimum of 1% wind and hail deductible. They had like a 45% surcharge on it, and they had ACV on their roof. So if you get that, I wouldn't be excited about it. If you get the product that we have, I would be. So I'm not going to lie, servicing and the chat is an issue. We've been on chat for 2 hours some days just trying to get through. So we've kind of like whenever somebody is on chat in our office, we throw everything that we have and just keep that person on chat forever and get everything fixed that we do have. But that is a pain point. Generating documents is a pain point. So sometimes you submit a policy, it might take 24 hours for the insurance cards and the EOI to generate. So just know, I mean, there are a lot of servicing pain points, but like I said, I bet in the 4 months between Jolt and our commissions that we've made over 100,000 with Signature, in 4 months that we wouldn't have made without it, because maxing out the 250% bonuses and just the quotes that we've got. I said we've had over 100,000 in income in 4 months from this. So there's definitely pain points. My staff are frustrated with me because they're the ones that have to deal with the servicing and the chats and all the errors and everything. The errors are getting better. So when we first had it, almost every quote we did, we got an error for it. We had to chat in and have them fix it. And then if they couldn't fix it, it had to be sent to research, and research would take 2 weeks sometimes to get back to you. I haven't had any had to be sent to research in the last couple of weeks, so I said hopefully they're fixing those issues. But just know, I said there definitely are some pain points. One thing we've been working around to get this fixed. So like in Farmers, if somebody's closing on their house 2 weeks from now, you can generate an evidence of insurance to send to the loan officer. With Signature, it's just like Foremost, you can't. You have to submit the policy to get that evidence of insurance. So if somebody's closing on their house on the 15th, we've been asking them if we can input their policy, 7 to 10 days ahead of time with that future effective date so we can generate their documents. So I would try, because with Signature, you can go in and change that effective date. So if say the closing date moves by 2 days, you don't have to write a whole new policy. You can go in and change the effective date out if you need to. So that's kind of been our best practices as far as the slow times, or slow, lead times on getting the documents. If you have a closing coming up, ask if you can input the policy a week to 10 days ahead of time, just so you can have that evidence of insurance for closing with it. So hopefully that answers your question. So yeah, I mean, it all depends on what your rates are and what your surcharges and stuff. Like I said, if you have an ACV roof and a 1% minimum deductible, I wouldn't be as excited about it. But with Farmers, I mean, I can write a home with a $500 deductible in Illinois that we can't through Farmers with it. And I said I really haven't had any issues. I mean, it's definitely been a good product for us.
Yeah, here's what I take. I got a couple private messages through here. Our home product is not like Colorado's, so it is very much like yours. What I gather and what I hope DHQ gathers here is that obviously, yeah, there's going to be a couple pain points with it. That's with anything that we roll out. But if doing the math, and I'm a math guy, Danny, and I'm not asking you for what your bonus is. You don't have to answer this at all. But seeing what, how much revenue and how much premium you're writing and hitting Jolt, and I know how big your agency is, this has been a very lucrative process for you, let's just say.
For sure. Like I said, I don't know the exact total, what it is, and it's hard to determine that. But I said I'm guessing around 100,000 that we've made off of it, just because I said, I mean, the one like we beat our baseline by 40,000, 65,000, and 48,000. Our baselines are in the 60s, so I mean those are over 100,000 premium months that we got that, and you're getting 250% bonus on it. So said and we wouldn't have hit any of those bonuses without it. So we're able to beat our baseline by 65,000. And if I went back and looked, like in February I was 9,000 short of my baseline. In April I was 17,000 short of my baseline. In May I was 2,000 short of my baseline. And it's not like said I'm not writing. I mean, I'm top 5 personal lines producer in Illinois, and I'm missing my baseline just because we had a really good year the year before with it as well. But with this Signature, to be able to implement in that as well, it's really helped us start hitting all of our baselines. And it made my year-end bonus go up about 4 times of what it was as well. My year-end bonus was pretty low, and now that it's added all this extra Signature premium, I don't think it's all even in there yet, because I said there's a delay of getting some of that in there, but that's about 4 times higher than what it was, a couple months ago as well.
All right, dude, I appreciate it, and Kimberly, I'll one-off you on your convo. I think it's actually a good thing from a semantic side, so I'll call you here in a little bit. Last question, Linda just came in. Formal Signatures premium up front, or is that as earned?
It's up front, just like Farmers.
Sweet.
And well, another thing, so a good thing with them, we write all year policies on the autos because it's the exact same price if you have a year policy or a 6-month policy. So that's also helped out with the bonuses because, we're writing year policy, so you get all that premium up front. With farmers, it's quite a bit more to write a year auto policy than 6 months with it. The other good thing is there's really not much of a discount for pay in full versus monthly. So if people want to pay monthly, the auto policy is actually cheaper paid monthly than it is in full. The home policy, there is a slight discount to pay that one in full, but it's like $20. It's not huge. So, right now, something like with our Farmer Smart Plan home, if it's a 2,000-year home policy, if you pay it monthly, it's like $2,500 or $2,400. It's a huge discount if you don't pay in full. With Signature, it's about the same price, and I said you can do a year auto policy for the exact same as a 6-month. So every single auto policy we wrote has been a year. You got to get that upfront premium for the bonus and everything too.
Awesome. Dude, thank you so much. This went 45 minutes. I appreciate your time. Thank you. I know you're a busy man. So DHQ, hopefully you guys got some candid feedback there from a guy that's killing it. Please do your U of F modules if you haven't done it. Quote demos, I believe, are Tuesday through Thursday the next 2 weeks. Please sign up for them. And you guys all have a good Friday. Thank you, Danny.
Yep, no problem. Yep, see you later.